What's going on, little kitties? Alrighty, we're about to start a new live painting stream. About to pop into a brand new live painting stream here. And, I'm trying to decide if I like this current setup here, the current thing that we've got going on, or whether I thought it was previously. And, obviously I've painted what I've painted at this point. But I'm just trying to decide if I want to stick with this style or go to a new one at some point later. So this is the second. You've probably seen our orange kitten, but this is our second of the little litter that we're taking care of right now. And his hair, he tends to shed a lot. This guy is a little shedder. Oh, no, come here. Just trying to get away. Trying to get away. All right, I'll let you get away. All right, come on. I'm gonna get away somewhere else. Let's go. Get away somewhere else. There you go. Get away over there. All right. Wipe the hair off my face. There we go. Got any hair on this face? All right. So we're gonna continue on with this painting. That's the goal. That's the goal for this evening. Is continue on with this painting. And for those on the YouTube stream, I named this live stream "Masters Never Make Mistakes." I find it interesting how one of the things that I like to do when I go look at classical paintings or paintings by any of the world's any of the great masters is I love to just look for like areas that if I was to get up really close, if I was painting that, what I would consider a mistake. And I feel like no one ever talks about the mistakes of masters. I think as a painter, I'm constantly looking at my paintings like, oh, that could be a little mistake. That's a change I should have made. I did something wrong there. I wonder how that looks, right? So there's always these things that you're wondering as an artist if it's like a mistake. And it's probably something that no one will ever notice. Except if you're doing something very specific, like someone wants a red square painted and, you make it a triangle, right? That would be an obvious mistake. Kat, I just adjusted this.
I'm not touching it.
Okay. All right.
I'm going around the back.
Okay. All right.
I'll just clean up the porch.
All right. Okay. All right. So anyway, had to make adjustments. We got to set up a nice big screen so the kittens don't get out and going back and forth here. So anyways, making adjustments and making adjustments and like when there's this great book here. I think it's a pretty rare book, and it talks about like the great masters of all time. We're talking the old masters, the impressionists, the modern masters, Da Vinci, Titian, El Greco, Rembrandt, Gainsborough, William Turner, Courbet, Jean Millet, and then you got all the impressionists and then modern masters. It's just so interesting to think that just imagine all these amazing artists as absolute perfectionists that never make mistakes. It's so interesting to think of them that way. And, I think this book, the techniques of the great masters, I'm very grateful. I found this book in Vermont, actually. I didn't get it online. I think it's rare to find this online. And I actually found this in a used bookstore, which very grateful for finding this book because this is probably one of my favorite art books of all time. And, I think the most revealing thing, the greatest idea that I take from this book is that even the great masters made mistakes or they made changes or they had like little quirks that some people actually consider them like brilliant for, as opposed to, people that were human and made mistakes. So I find that really interesting. Anything from changing the position of a body, like Vermeer, the girl with the pearl earring, he was known for changing the positions of different people. And, there was some artist, I can't remember exactly, that was known for like using the canvas. And like, if there was an area where they, when they had extra paint on their brush, they would use they would just wipe it off on a canvas somewhere and you might never notice. And these are artists that are considered masters. You would think that masters, it's really easy to raise the people that are considered masters to this like level of like idolatry, idolizing them, imagining that they're unmistakable. They can't make mistakes. And infallible, I guess is the word. You know, to imagine the old masters, the great masters, as somehow infallible. And you know, I think as an artist, right? It's not. I don't look for their mistakes as like, you know, oh, I'm trying to nitpick, right? But it's more so just like, you know, what are the quirks of these artists, right? Like, what were their some of the things that they found would be interesting to leave in, and like, how do great artists manage to change mistakes? So, absolutely brilliant book. I love this. It's a compilation of like, I don't know, 20, 40, 60, 60, 70. Oh, yeah, over 70 artists. So let's just round that up to 100. Over 70 artists. It's probably not at 100, but over 70 artists, some of the greatest who ever lived. And it goes over some of their techniques. Now, it's not like in-depth technique study, but it does share with you some of their methods, which I find pretty interesting. So that said, we're going to close this book up. I decided that I'm going to start doing reviews of books at the beginning of each of these streams, maybe. I think that would be a good way to start. And now we're going to go into this painting. Look at that. All right, so this has been a fun painting so far. I'm still trying to decide how I'm going to fill up the rest, but we'll get there. We're going to get there. We shall get to a position, place where we like our painting. How about that? That's our goal today. And I will say, I do like where this area is at. This is probably my favorite part right here. The kitten sitting on this, like, the shaggy yellow carpet. But I have so much yellow paint right now that I probably should get it used up. I should definitely use it up. Let's find a good brush for this. We're gonna go with this brush that I started with earlier to give us some bigger, thicker strokes, some thicker strokes. And let's grab a nice big chunky yellow and mix it into our burnt sienna here to get it rounded out a little bit. Grab a little bit of red. We're gonna brown out our sienna. Let's see, you know what? Let's grab some more. This is one of my favorite tubes. Did I use it all up already? Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite tubes of paint. This Utrecht burnt sienna. Probably one of my favorite tubes of paint in all time. Because it helps you find like a dark, just like a nice dark brown red that is good for so many purposes. If you want to capture red in like nature, it's a great red. If you want to start your painting off with like this like layer of red, it's beautiful. So it's just a brilliant, wonderful color, the Utrecht version of it. I'm sure other colors are just as good, or other brands, but you know, you tend to fall in love with some of those things that you pretty much start out with. And you know what I don't have? I don't have my reference set up right now. So let me look up my reference here. All right, there we go. So let's see, we're going to pop this into here. I'm just going to go. Am I blocking anything? No, we're not blocking nothing. So we're just going to go into this. Thank you for the like, whoever liked this channel. Thank you. I am noticing these extra likes. Let's see. Let's make sure the full chat is, because I noticed this chat filter has been filtering different conversations. So basically what we're doing is we're just taking a nice thick glob of paint onto our brush and just painting through this line here. And it's going down, going across. And just gonna find our design like that. And we're just gonna make this like a nice red here. And that's what we're just going to do. We're just going to bring this all the way across right here. Let's see, maybe we can find some lines around. Let's go, should we crisscross? I don't know if crisscross is necessarily going to be the best way. So maybe we won't crisscross. But we will go at this exact angle, or attempt to keep going at this angle here. All right, let's see how that's going. All right, it's building up. Let's try to bring in a little bit more of our burnt sienna here just to get some rounds into this. And I'm gonna do like an underhand grip. I just want some darker browns throughout this. With each of these, really just looking for a rhythm, just like 1, 2, 3. Just finding a rhythm to apply these lines. I'm sure there's some people that would be like, oh, putting these lines is so boring, but I absolutely love this. And this is where I think, a person's style as far as artwork will really come in, right? Person's style. It's going to come from, this extra, these details that, your personal habits, the things that you enjoy, when that meets your, people talk about style a lot. How do you develop a style, right? I think it's just, I feel like style is so obvious. Now, let's also separate the meaning of style versus, an iconic movement, right? There's a difference between style and starting the next major movement, right? There's a difference between style and trying to start, impressionism, or, it's a difference between style and trying to start, become Picasso who starts Cubism. It's different, right? I'm talking about style, just like as far as a thing that, like, when people look at it, if they were to look at 100 paintings and they were to look at 10 of yours, and then they would look at those 100 paintings, that they could possibly tell which one was yours, right? That, I think, is how we can define a style. And let's see, how are these angles looking? These angles are looking okay. I want to try to make them more perpendicular to this. So maybe we bring this down a little bit further. Yeah, style, not thinking too much about it. I would say a style is just where your personal habits, your personal painting habits meet your painting interests, your influences, your mentors. And that is a style. Like, simply put, that's going to be your style. Is where your personal habits, your creative habits, maybe you're a messy artist, maybe you're a very colorful artist, maybe you're an artist who loves using a ruler and designing and lines and straight designs. And that's going to ultimately help to result in a style when it meets the right mentors or ideas, your interests. And that's all going to result in a personal style. That's what I think is a style. If you want to bring it down to like a really simplified, math equation, again, you really have to differentiate it from, creating an entire art movement, right? I think a lot of younger artists, when they think of like, I got to develop a style, they think that they're going to develop like an entire movement, right? They're going to be the next Jackson Pollock. They have to be the next Jackson Pollock or the next Picasso in order to have a style that is recognized. And although I think, that's a, you should, it's worthwhile to like have a recognized style. I think it's important to also consider that there's a difference between a personal style and an entire art movement. And I think it could be good to not get bogged down with trying to do an art movement, right? And how do you do that? Like just recognizing that style really is pretty simple. You know, it's not this profound transformation of painting. It could be, but at the end of the day, your style is really going to come from just these two factors, right? What are your personal habits? Like, are you an artist that cleans up every single day your entire surrounding, or are you an artist that works in chaos? Are you an artist that's okay with a crooked line, or are you an artist that will destroy a painting if the lines aren't perfectly straight, right? Are you an artist that will embrace your quirks, or are you an artist that wants to totally have no quirks, have no representation of expression in your work, right? And I think all of these things apply to style. As soon as you really accept yourself as an artist, you accept yourself as an artist or painter or sculptor or whatever. Once you embrace your own identity and your habits and your quirks and your faults, your strengths, all of these things, and then you combine it with like, hey, who are your mentors, right? Who are your mentors as far as art goes? Who are you listening to? Who are you copying? Who are you studying? And when you start to do all of that, who are you surrounding yourself with? What ideas? And I think when you bring that combination together, you have a personal style. Everyone has it. Everyone can develop it. Again, not everyone will develop a movement. I'm not saying that, but I think everyone can develop the style of art. That if you were to give someone 10 samples of your painting and then have them look at 100 paintings after studying 10 of your own, I think that everyone would end up having like a potential recognizable style. That's what I think style is. But anyway, you know what? This color would also go great up here. So the only thing I would do is I'm going to brighten this a little bit. So we're going to brighten this brush up. And we're going to go right into here. And let's go up like that. You know what? I think for this I need a smaller brush. Let me see if I can add a couple of these details. Let's bring this into here. We're just going to bring a couple little details into here, right there, right there. I just want to add little pops of color to this section here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, just to 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Just to add some design into this little floor area here. So we're gonna switch this brush up. It's a little too thick. I really like this brush. So we're going to clean that brush off. And let's grab one of my all-time favorite brushes. Which is this brush right here. A nice little pointed round. We're going to use this to capture some of the colors in there. And we're going to use the same color theme that we have going on, this like orange red, which I think will fit perfectly into this. So this is actually going to go, we're going to go up, 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 up. It's going to go up, 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 up. grab some red, orange. It's going to have a variety of colors here. We're going to go up, 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 up. It should pretty much be straight up, because if we're looking at anything that's like vertical, anytime you're looking at a vertical line, it's probably going to be straight up and down, unless like you angled it purposely. But I think this will give the most obvious example. I think in a photo I did angle a little bit. Well, let's just see how this goes, right? We're gonna experiment with this little section right here, and this is gonna come in just a little bit. Let's go in, and let's see right here. This is gonna go up. We're gonna have a little section right there, and we're gonna have a section that goes all the way across. Just these nice reds all the way across. The reds. We're gonna get some yellows here. Go with some yellows as we go across. It's like all right, let's go like this. Let's go like that. Let's see. Okay. So we're developing something here, and we're gonna go grab some yellows, and let's bring in some reds here. And right now I'm just doing very impasto. So let's talk about paint a little bit. So we're just gonna talk briefly about some of the paints that I'm using, which right now I am using a mix between. I'm using a mix between Winsor and Newton and some Gamblin colors. So Winsor and Newton, what I found is if you want a thicker paint right from the get-go, like if you want to do this type of work, if you want thicker paint right from the get-go, so according to a friend of mine who knows a lot about art, he did say that they probably use chalk in here, in the Winsor and Newton, which helps to create a thicker texture. And by the way, nothing wrong with chalk, right? Nothing wrong with chalk. Chalk is actually a very well-known pigment that's been used since the days of Rembrandt, right? It was actually it's actually well known that Rembrandt actually had chalk in his paints, his pigments, because that's a good like filler, particularly for white. But I'm sure that other people have experimented with chalk, and knowing this, Rembrandt used chalk. Like, it's not a bad thing. So when I talk about chalk, like, don't think of it as in, oh, Winsor Newton uses chalk. Ugh, that's horrible, right? You use what you got to use for whatever painting you're doing, right? Now, obviously, it's good to know, like, there's maybe some pigments, if you spend, depending on how much money you spend on pigment, maybe you want less chalk, right? But there's a use for just about every type of paint, ranging from, the most easily accessible to the least accessible. And, it's important to know all the differences. You don't necessarily have to, but it really does help to know all the differences. And that just comes from just experimenting with different paints over the years. It's not rocket science. It just takes time. It just takes time. And what I've personally discovered is that Winsor and Newton tends to use a much thicker paint, and that's basically their thing. They just use a much thicker paint. So I want to go with a yellow here. Let me grab. Winsor and Newton is going to give you a much thicker paint, meaning you could do stuff like this, like right straight from the tube. You could just use these very thick paint these very thick paints and just do it straight from the tube. That's some of the benefits of using a Winsor & Newton tube. Just straight fresh from the tube, you get nice fresh thick paint. You don't need to like thin it out or whatever. You can, but it's nice to have paint that you can just use straight from the tube for this type of stuff. If you want to go thick impasto. If you don't, then you probably want to find a tube that doesn't have this level of like thick paint, thick chalky. Again, I don't actually know if it's chalky. I'm just taking the word of a friend from this, and I would believe it. Like how do you get this texture? How do you get this thick texture? It's either they're putting some sort of wax into it, or they are using some other filler material, because it's probably not the pigment itself, right? So we're gonna go around, and we're just gonna come around and just add these nice thick layers of texture here. We're gonna go with another one right up here. Add these lines, and then we're probably gonna just add one more, just on the edge here. It's gotta look like it's curving in. That's what we're going for. This little curve in here. And let's go like this. We're gonna go, and we're just going to curve across these little, make it look like there's something curving across here. It's a weave. There is a weave going on here. There's a weave. And that's what we're going to try to capture. We're going to capture different levels of this weave. It's a basket weave. So you all know, like over, under, over, under, over, under. We're just going to do that. Just across this whole thing. Just over, under, over, under, over, under. Just eventually create this illusion. Just using thick paint.
That's like the bones.
Thick layer of paint here. So we're gonna go over, under, over, and then under right here, and then over, and then under, and then come under, and then over, and then under, over, under, over. It's just creating this illusion of like a weaved box, a weaved little container here. Without painting every single color detail. I mean, I guess it all depends on how you want to paint, right? But you can do this super methodically, or you can choose to make different details and make different details important. Depends on your personal style, right? Your habits. How do you see is the best way to tackle painting? That's where your style is going to come in. Personal style. Just messing around, right? Or if you're not messing around, but having fun with the painting, doing the best you imaginable, whatever that is creatively, right? What's going on? Psst. Kitties. Who did that? Did you hear that? I don't know. I didn't see.
Which one are you? There's plenty of food. Where do you fight over food? There's lots of food.
Alright, so let's go like this. Cross, and then under, cross, under, cross, under, across, under, across, under, across. Let's see, one of these needs to be a cross, or maybe it doesn't, right? This should be a cross. There we go. That should be a cross. And let's see, this is going to be cross, under, cross and under, cross and under. So just painting a weave. You know, these weaves of a basket weave. So cross and then under, and then cross, under, and cross, under, cross, under, cross, under. And then one more, maybe another one. We're going to go under, cross, under, cross, under, cross, and then one more at the top. Top has to happen. So that's over, under, under. You know what? Now there we go. We've got a nice little basket going on. Here we go. Let's come across in here. Let's connect some of these basket areas right here. I'm just going to connect some of these. So you've got a very rough looking basket here. Very rough looking basket. The toilet's pretty interesting. I don't like this area is just chaos. So we're just gonna leave that. Not worried too much about the bottom part of the toilet here. And what else do we need to do? So we still have a lot of space to cover here. So let's figure this out. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go. We can actually clean off this brush. Let's see if there's anywhere we can clean this brush off, like wipe it off on our canvas here. Wipe it off. 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 Wipe it off, wipe it off, wipe it off. There we go. Get all the paint off. All right, let's clean this off. Gonna clean this brush off right now. And right now I'm planning, like, you know, what's this next phase gonna, where's this next phase gonna take us here? And I think this next phase is going to take us into down here. And let's go for just the hintiest of pink here. Just the tiniest hint of pink. We're gonna come up here, and let's see, do we want to go this straight up? I think we want this to be straight up, so we're gonna go boom, boom. We're gonna go pinks. Not really sure I like this like hot pink color. It's not too reflective, so we're gonna grab some of our white. We're gonna dull this down a little, get back into our like a white. Oh, there we go. It's a little bit better. A little bit of pink with some. A little bit of pink, but mostly like a white. Just going very impasto with this. And let's see. All right. And then let's go bring. I really, really like the colors that are happening here, though. It's just like, I feel like I'm gonna ruin it. I'm gonna like make it very cartoony if we really try to like pump up this color theme here. So it's gonna be a little bit cartoony. I mean, it's already kind of cartoony, right? This little cat curled up on the mat here. You know what we can do? We can let's go here. Let's start adding in some white lines here. And then we're gonna come down. Let's go like this. Let's leave that there. I really like these colors so much. It's like a dull green. And I really want to try to capture these dull greens that I have here, if possible. So what I need here, let me see, what green was I using? I think I used up the green. Nope, that's a yellow ochre. Got my Williamsburg. Watch out, kitty. What are you doing down here, kitty? You just trying to get some attention right now, huh? You want some attention, buddy? Come here. Every time he walks by me, I gotta pick him up. Every time he walks by me, you gotta pick up the guy. Right? Every time he walks by, you can't just let them. Oh, are you trying to get away now? Hmm? What's going on? He's like looking at me. He's like, "What's up with you?" Hmm? What's up with the world? It's really starting to take shape. You like this? All right. Well, thank you. I actually liked it previously, but I have a problem where I like almost all my paintings, no matter what phase it's in, whether it's the ugly phase or not. That's my fatal flaws. Because I like my artwork way too much. And sometimes it's hard to tell when, you know, when to let it sit, when to keep going, when to keep pushing it, when to try a new idea. You're a gremlin. Are you a gremlin? You're an orange gremlin? Ears are so gross. I'm feeling inside his ears. I'm like trying to clean inside his ears with my fingers, and I can feel the oil.
Which cat?
The orange one.
Really?
Yeah.
Should be clean.
Well, they feel oily.
You're supposed to have a little sebaceous wax.
Oh, sebaceous wax?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Sebaceous wax?
Yeah.
This one's too sweet though. Look at him.
Yeah, isn't that
Look at the way he has his head tilted.
You might want to find another place for those paintings before Irma comes.
Okay.
She's not going to be able to clean them out. They're really heavy. I tried moving them.
Okay.
Solid.
So we're done. I'm trying to hold him until he gets annoyed at me, and then I can put him somewhere. Because usually if they like come up to you and you ignore them, they'll just stick to you like glue. But if you annoy them enough and try to like rub your face in them,
Sticking your finger in his ear.
No, I think he likes it. It feels good. He's not like, but I think if you like bother them enough, they'll be like, all right, I've had enough of you. I'm bored now. Let me go do something else. Does that strategy work? Can you tell me? Does that strategy work, pal? Does it work? Is it working? Are you bored? Has a kitten been bored? Is a kitten bored yet? Ready to go somewhere else. Art thou? What's up, pal? What's going on? What do you smell? Ready to go somewhere? Little guy, little chin. Cats have the cutest chins. Anybody ever notice that? Cat chins, because they're so tiny, like so thin and fragile, but they're so deadly too. If you've ever been bit by a cat, they can totally pierce. Here we go. They can totally pierce your flesh with one bite. Even the tiniest of kittens could. The tiniest of kittens could pierce your flesh with one bite. Yet, you look at their jaws and you're like, how is that possible? How is this thin little jaw? How does it belong to a carnivorous animal? A carnivore, the ultimate. How does this thin little jaw belong to one of the most successful predators to ever exist? And given that cats are successful not just because they're carnivores, but because they've managed to control human beings. They've managed to take control of human society and make us their slave. But that aside, I think that they are also very successful at being carnivores. So I need to find a good green. And let me see, I got my Utrecht green. Do I want to use my Utrecht green? Yes, let's go with our phthalo green, our Gamblin 1980 phthalo green. I'm gonna lay a little bit of this down. Maybe more than a little. And then we need a lot of white. Let's use up the rest of our Gamblin 1980 tube right here. And how do you use up your tubes? How do you get the most out of your tubes is the question. Well, there's two ways. One, if you have a smaller tube, if you have a small tube like this, you can use a tube key. These are little tube keys, so basically you stick the tube in. And you can see there's little ridges right now. That's because of their step number 2. You can try this. You can try these. These work just as well for bigger tubes that can't fit into here, or small tubes. They work for small tubes too. But right now I'm just going to use a tube key because we've already done a good job of getting the tube, the tube and the paint all the way up. So let's go ahead and just jam it in there. Jam it in. Sometimes it doesn't fit. You gotta get the right tube key, the right size. So let's go ahead and just squeeze this to the max. Get as much out as we can. So open it up. Tube keys are pretty simple and easy to use. You just turn the key. Turn the key. I think it does a pretty good job. So let's just unroll it and just see how flat we've gotten it. I think we've gotten the majority of the paint out, right? Like this is pretty flat. There's probably not too much paint that's still left in it. Let's try to extract just a little bit more by unrolling it and just trying again to roll it, but we're going to roll it the other direction. I don't know if that actually does anything by rolling it the other direction, but we're just going to try. We got the tiniest extra bit of Gamblin 1980. And let's use let's just keep going with this brush right here. And mix in our white. Grab a huge chunk of our white here. And start to get our phthalo green, get it like a nice minty color. And then I also want another chunk of white. Get it into our blue here. Maybe a little bit of this other blue. Let's just start getting these like nice cool colors coming down here. Almost reminds me of toothpaste. And blocking anything. Just gonna start laying this down. Let's go angle, boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go down here. I'm just gonna keep bringing this down. Let's just bring this down again. Boom, 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 boom. I really like this color. It's like an off green. Might need a lot more paint than I'm even realizing. Because the thing with paint is this much paint, this thickness of paint can spread so far. If I was to just use this thickness of paint, I could cover this entire surface probably with just any single one of these strokes. So, you know, when you do certain styles of painting, you gotta be ready to know how the paint works. You know what? Let's not make this straight up and down. Let's, bring some patterns into this. Maybe some blues at an angle. Let's make this a little bit more fun, Bring some blues down at an angle here. Otherwise it gets kind of boring. You don't want a boring painting. Everything all straight in a line and everything. That's lame. Who wants everything just straight in a perfect line? Let's go down. Let this next section go down. Let's go. Bring this down, 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 down. I don't know. I like the previous version. This like loosely painted version. Now I feel like I'm just. We'll see. One thing though that you can't go wrong with when you do this is that you always have just a super vibrant, colorful surface. You will never fail at coloring. never fail at being a colorist. Unless the colors just clash, right? Of course, if the colors clash, then you'll fail. But even then, you know, if you really want rich, vibrant colors, I mean, this is probably one of those ways to go. Let's see, is this straight? This is not going straight up and down. Let's go a little bit straighter up and down here. Still holding on to my white tube right here. I'm always just experimenting with these ideas. You know, let's go with like a, let's see, how do we want to do this? We're going to go, let's go at a different angle now. We're going to go at this angle. Just come up with this. You know what, I want to loosen up this paint a little bit. It's a little too thick. So I'm adding a little bit more oil into it from this point on. I'm gonna throw oil. It's gonna loosen the paint up just a little bit so that we can, you know, we're still gonna have thickness, but it's gonna get a little bit more smooth. Gonna look a little bit more smooth here. You actually can tell, right? Start to tell when I used the oil versus didn't use the oil. I'm getting a lot more paint out of each brushing too. What is this? It's a lot of color. I don't know. Was it really necessary? Let's go like this. Let's go bigger with this paint here. Nice and big. Just spread it. Just get it nice and spread here. And we do need some separation. Let's see how this goes. What do we do here? I think we can actually go into this with some of our colors here. Let's go with some oil. I'm gonna maybe dull some of the colors a little bit. That looks crooked too. Maybe that's my world, just this crooked world. Down at an angle. Maybe I'd leave it on purpose. As we all know, masters never make mistakes, right? Once you become a master, everything that you've done will never be considered a mistake again. Isn't that great? That's why we should all strive to be masters, right? Everything that's ever done will always be considered a concerted effort toward perfection. All right, enough of that nonsense. Let's go loosen this up with some more oil here. Mineral spirit. We're gonna grab some mineral spirit here, some of this paint. We're just gonna go. Let's go right in here. Yeah, I like this style for some things, but I don't know if I like it for everything. It's a little just like there's just too much going on. There's too much going on. We'll see how it goes. I think the previous one was better. I like these more than this area. This is why you experiment with your own pets. You know, you don't experiment on a different painting from somewhere else. You know, maybe I should just go for one big flat color on this. So I've kind of messed up. Let's go. I'm gonna take this huge glob of paint right here. I'm just gonna glob it in. Just gonna glob this paint in here. I just want to make it. See if we can make this a consistent solitaire color. I don't think it works that way though, by the way, because this is. Oh no! Look at all that paint that's been wasted right there. Pick it up. Not everything needs to be this design, right? Not everything needs to be this impasto Some of it could be flat. Where's this color? I think that's a little better actually. What we're doing with these colors here. They're kind of mixing into this just like it's just this natural color. We all know that if you're streaming, everything that you're doing is supposed to be perfect, right? Everything you're doing is supposed to be planned. You can't be spontaneous on a live stream. It would ruin your reputation. You know, what's coming out of this? I don't know. Something interesting is coming out of this. I actually like what's happening here. It's really rough. It's raw. It's rough and raw. My goodness, it's turning out pretty good. Now I know I got a couple little funky areas down here, but hey, maybe that's just what it is, right? That's the thing now, though. By the way, people, is letting your paintings like drip, right? Just letting it be drippy. Look at these just beautiful colors and how they interact. I mean, these colors are actually interacting pretty well. Let's see what we could do. Maybe I can turn this into like some sort of flower, some sort of flower design and find the hidden flower into here. Why not? Why not throw some interesting design there? I want to reduce some of this blue here. This is just like a very beautiful pop color here that we've got going on. We'll leave all the other things like to have their thing and their moment. How's that? It's not bad. This area though is a little bit crazy because if we go straight down from here, this area needs some separation. So if we go straight down, if we come past this wall just a little bit, we add just a little bit of a blue line right here. Does that look like it's separating it enough? Yeah, that kind of separates it, right? Just a little bit, just ever so subtly. And right into here, just trying to capture a little bit of shadow into these areas. Let's go bring some of these colors into here. I'm gonna brighten this up. It's lost. Yellow kind of messes with the luster a little bit. It doesn't look too bad. It's a little unusual. It's not flat color. It's very different. So very it's a little bit too eye-catching, maybe even. Some might even say it's a little too eye-catching. But in a bad way. It's a little bit cartoonish, I would say. Very cartoonish. But hey, is that a bad thing or is it just a thing? That is the question here. Let's go ahead and continue with some of these colors, and we're just going to go paint this straight down. We're just going to go down with this. And you know what? I want to make sure I find a way to smooth this out a little bit. So I'm going to smooth this section out a little bit too. Just go straight across here. Salon. You know, I think we could do the same thing with the rest of this. Need more white again. I used a half a tube of 1980 white. I'm about to pull out another big glob of white. Let's pull out another huge glob of white right now. We're gonna go. I want to keep this like this color we got going on, this color theme. And let's just bring this down. It's a very colorful theme, right? Let's grab some of this yellow. Get it nice and in here. And then let's get some what's going on down there, Fern? Fern, you doing okay? Look at that huge chunk of paint that we're just going to lay down on here. Get some nice bright colors. We're not going to be afraid to use our paint here. Not afraid to use our paint. Now let's go like this. Boom, 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 boom. All right, we're gonna come across this shadow space. Let's just look at these colors. They are vibrant. It is thick. It's thick just the way we like our colors. Our paint's nice and thick, juicy. Thick and juicy paint. Yes. Best paint. It's always thick and juicy. In case anyone's wondering how I'm achieving this, oh, that's fine. Not the painting itself, right? How I'm achieving the texture of the paint. Just I'm taking these huge globs of paint, just dipping them in mineral spirit. Look at that. There's a little mistake for everybody. Should I fix it or should I leave it? I think some areas benefit from having this quality, and then some areas benefit from just having like this. Having the less bright quality. I could probably use a bigger brush for this. What should I do about right here though? Should I wipe that off or just leave it? To wipe or to leave it? To wipe or to leave? That is the question. And then you know what? We gotta add this into here. So let's just start laying down this color right here. I'm gonna drop it in. Clean off this brush a little. What I'm thinking is I'm definitely going to wipe away this section. So we're gonna go, let's go like this. You know, leave a little bit maybe. Just know that maybe we'll never be able to truly fully fix that area unless you really want to paint over it or something. A little bit's okay. Let's leave a little bit. Just so people can be like, oh, look, he left a mistake in. Here we go. What's next? Let's go into this brush off. Let's go right down here. Bam, 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 bam. All right, clean this brush off. Just gonna do the same thing up here. Let's get some nice drippage going. Oh, lost the little chunk right there. Come on. Stay. Oh. Why does it want to stay? There we go. All right. This is one very bright painting, isn't it? Now let's go up here. We're going to come around. Get this porcelain going. I don't even know if my sinks are made of porcelain. I'm pretty sure they're not. Porcelain sounds too expensive. But they could be. Are all sinks made of porcelain, or is it just ceramic? I'm not sure. I don't know about the make of honestly, I have a feeling some of these colors will die by tomorrow, in a sense that I've used a lot of mineral spirits, and mineral spirits can kind of mess up the pigmentation. So let's go into here. We're just going to paint this in. take this nice chunk of color here and just separate the color of our bowl. Why is the sink green? I don't know. It's just the color that I've decided to use. Why is the sink green? You know, that might be the good title for this painting. Rather than making it about my cat, it should just be, why is the sink green? That'd be funny. I laugh at my own ideas. Maybe it's not funny to anybody else, but I think it's hilarious. I would lose my mind if I read that as a title. I'd be like, that is the most genius title I've ever heard. If Salvador Dali made a title of a painting and said, why is the sink green? It would literally like change my entire perception of reality and painting. You know, if Salvador Dali made this painting, which he didn't, but let's just pretend like he did for a second. If Salvador Dali, for some reason, made this painting and titled it, Why is the Sink Green? I would think that is the most genius combination of some type of joke or social commentary or just surrealist jokingness that I've ever heard. And maybe no one else gets it. Maybe no one else would ever understand. I think one of Salvador Dali's best paintings isn't his surrealism work. It's one of his still lifes. And in this still life, he basically paints the still life and he draws like all the objects, but they're like outside of the frame of the thing. And I'm like, dude, that guy, what a smart guy. That is a move right there. That is a creative, artistic, that is an artist right there. You know, he knows the rules. He heard Picasso say, you got to know the rules or break it. And he's like, yo, I'm going to break this rule. I'm going to not put anything that's important fully in this frame. And it's all going to be out there. I don't know, who out there has like an artist that when you look at their paintings, you're like, that is a hilarious title. That is the funniest, like, subtly funniest thing I've ever seen. Probably not many. I think the humor that artists provide is not so much in the content itself as much as it is the context. But, you know, maybe I might be creating this little fantasy moment of Salvador Dali that no, Salvador Dali for sure had a sense of humor. There's no way that guy does not have hidden jokes in his, like, technically, you know, according to his manifesto, according to a surrealist manifesto, technically you're supposed to do paintings without meaning. But I highly doubt that is the case for all of his paintings. I'm sure some paintings have meanings. And that said, like, if there was one artist that you think has a sense of humor, probably David Cho. But the thing about David Cho is David Cho's always talking about his anger issues. Or not always, like, you know, if you follow him enough, you start to see videos about him like dealing with his anger issues. So I don't know if David Cho is necessarily like, you know, like a truly funny guy, or whether he just, you know, tries to use humor to cover up some form of pain. Again, I'm making assumptions. I don't want to, like, you know, spend too much time analyzing artists. But if there's an artist with a sense of humor, I would guess that it was Salvador Dali out of all of them. All the great artists, except for comedians, right? Comedians are people too. Comedians are artists too. And the ones with the greatest sense of humor, probably Dali. Let's go. We're gonna add in some gray here. We're gonna add in some black, and we're just gonna paint that in here. Excuse me. You know what? This needs to go up here as well. These little handlebars for changing the temperature. I don't even know if that's the right shape. But I like the colors that we got going on. I like these colors. Just bring that down. That's okay. Got some of the outlines. My cat's looking great. And now let's see. We just gotta paint this thing, right? Let's see, where can we bring this? Got some extra color and paint right here. Let's go bring this in. Bring it in, people. Bring it in. Bring it in. Let's go right here. Boom, 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 boom. All right, clean this brush off. Wow, I've done so much work with just this one brush. This one brush is so versatile. I've also wasted so much paint down here. So much paint is just stuck onto our canvas. Let's scoop that up and try to put it in here. Let's go. Put it in. Scoop whatever paint we have. Use it. And let's see about this object here. What can we do? We can go. I'm gonna go with a dark green. I'm just gonna have a zipper like that, and then a zipper right here, and then another little flap right here, and then let's just bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. I'm just gonna go zip this back like so. Now let's clean off this brush again. Okay, let's see. Where do we go from here? All right, let's go. These colors we've been using, maybe with a little bit more yellow. Want to use up this yellow here. Dip it in some mineral spirits, grab some of this yellow. We're actually going to paint this through right here. Let's just paint it through. And actually get some into here. This color into here. And then let's add in some big long object here, whatever that is. I don't really know. It's just a cylindrical object. A little pack of floss. We got a little pack of floss coming up. Let's go get this little pack of floss. Probably won't even be able to tell that's a pack of floss, but maybe we'll see. Can you tell that this is floss? This is object is floss. We're gonna put a little layer of green right here because that's the color of the a floss pack. This is a pack of floss in a bag. I just see all this extra color and I'm like, I gotta do something with it. I gotta do something. Let's go. Where can we go into here? We could actually make this go around. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. That's a good little tactic here. Just lay the green into here. And let's go. Clean this brush off. Trying to reduce the make it look just a little bit less messy with these lines here. And let's see, if we go into there, we're gonna have some really deep reds. Let's get some deeper reds into here. Let's get some deep reds right into here. We're just gonna go boom, boom. I don't even know what's in here. It's just, I just see colors. Just colors. So that's what we're gonna go with, you know. And let's see, let's add a nice final touch of this red here. This brush can be cleaned up, and right now I'm thinking, how can I touch this up? How can I add some finishing touches? I think we're gonna do with some handy dandy outlines. So this is how we're gonna do it. We're just gonna add outlines to this. Let's add a nice little outline right here. And then let's go Just to clean up these outlines, we're gonna do one nice outline across here, and one outline across up here. So this is a great brush because it's a really rough brush, and it's helping me. That's why there's a value in every brush, right? This brush I wouldn't use for anything else, but it's rough enough. It's a retired brush, pretty much. But this brush is really hard, really hard. It's a rough surface, which means I get to do stuff like this. I get to create, an outline. Nice, deep, dark outline. Lets me just carve away at the paint underneath. And to finalize some of these outlines, I'm not going to do this all over. I want some of it to feel like, it's painted over. I want to give it an illusion. Give it an illusion of like, give it some illusion here. Some illusion that it is separate. And let's go like this. We're going to come into here. Let's go. Carve that out a bit. And let's see. Go like this. We're going to clean up this line right here. Maybe we could add even a little outline around the sink, which I didn't originally have. So let's go like this. We're going to do an outline around the sink here. Just a little bit. It has a huge globs of paint on this. Let's create a little separation right here. Let's give a little bit more separation right into this little section right here. Right into here. And you know what? This in here can use a little bit of shadow as well. Where can we create a line right here? Maybe add just a little subtle line, just boom, just a little bit. Right, just subtle. And voila, I think we have our painting. But hey, one great reason to pick up painting is so you can do paintings of your cats. Who's ever wanted to do a painting of their cat? I know everyone has. Everyone. How can you not want to do a great painting of your cat or your pet? You know, it's either you got to do it yourself or hire someone to do it. Like, it's worth it to either hire someone or do it yourself. If you're in need of a hobby, learn to do it yourself. If you don't have time for a new hobby and you still want a portrait of your cat, hire somebody. Look for an artist that'll do it. There's probably plenty out there, myself included. You never know. I read a story about this one guy who, all of his paintings, he's like 90 some years old, and he got like some recognition because he has like hundreds of paintings of his dog, and that's it. He just loved his dog so much that he decided to do hundreds and hundreds of paintings of his dog, and now he's known for painting his dog. Isn't that wonderful? What a wonderful story, right? What a fantastic, beautiful, lovely, incredible, heartwarming story. Okay, so as our paint tubes are closed, we're gonna close up our other paint set. You know what? Why don't we start a new painting tonight, huh? Who's ready to start a new painting? Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready to start a new one. Let's swap this out. So why do I want to start a new one? I think the main reason is I have all this yellow paint that I know is going to dry by tomorrow. And I feel like I just got to swarm it onto my canvas. So let's do that. But before that, let's take a photo. Let's get a nice photo of our painting here. Before we start our next piece, let's get a final photo of this. And there we go. Let's swap this painting out here. We're going to grab it by here, by this thing. Let's drop this one down. All right, so what are we doing with this? We need a lot of mineral spirits and a lot of oil paint. Grab a nice big brush here. huge chunk of this yellow. You could tell this yellow is almost pretty much dry. So we're just gonna take this huge chunk of yellow and we're just gonna lay on our oil paint here. Just dip it in this mineral spirit. Get it nice and soaked. And let's just lay it on. Just get this yellow just layered. Layer it on, baby. Layer this yellow. This is gonna be one bright yellow painting here. Oh yeah. Look at that. That's not even all the oil paint. The oil paint's still on there. Look at that big chunk. I'm just gonna get that chunk out. Like I said, some paints, you know, Winsor & Newton, some paints are good. Just so you know that like you're not too precious with them. And then some paints are good because, you know, they're really high quality. And, you know, you want to use them for the most important of like paintings, right? And some colors are good to use for just like, you know, the initial layer. And some paints you want to use for other stuff. It all depends, right? Every paint has its purpose. Every paint has its purpose. Every rose has its thorns. Every paint has its purpose. Every brush has its purpose. And what are we doing? We're just creating an underpainting. We're just creating a nice base layer. That's one great thing about oil painting is like, you know, you never need to be without a reason to use your paint. You could prepare I could prepare like 5 canvases tonight. I really wanted to. I just have all this paint left over that needs to be used. And like, I already know that it's going to be dry. You know, the paint's going to be dry soon. Within like either tomorrow or the day after, the paint is totally going to be dry. And therefore, if I don't use it, I'm going to lose it. The saying is true. If you don't use it, you lose it. Especially for oil paints, right? If you don't use your oil paints, you're going to lose them. Now, if they're kept in a tube, that's different, right? But for the most part, if you don't use your oil paints, if you just let it sit, you're going to lose it. So you want to keep like an ever-flowing supply of canvases that are painted and ready to go. Because why not? Just so you never have to deal with like a block, right? You've always got a canvas waiting for you. It's calling your name. This canvas is already calling my name. It's saying, hey, paint something on me. Don't just let me sit here all yellow. Like, do something with me, right? That's what the paint is saying. It's communicating. It's beckoning. This canvas is beckoning me to do something. I'll say, as drippy as this is, you know, it's a very drippy painting, but I'm surprised because it has managed to stay on my easel rather than onto the floor or something else. I don't have a single drip on the floor yet, which is good. That's great. That's fantastic. So let's go into this side. We're going to go on the edges right here. Just easy, nice and smooth and easy, bro. Easy, easy. Easy schmeezy. Easy peasy schmeezy weezy. There we go. Easy weezy. Boom, 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 boom. And all this should probably be dry by tomorrow because I use so much mineral spirit. Maybe not all of it, but there's so much mineral spirit in this. So what happens, the mineral spirit basically, so I use the term mineral spirit. It's a paint thinner. And basically somehow it acts as a way to break down the molecules in like oil and basically separates the oil from the pigments. That's how I would explain it. And that allows, and like mineral spirit evaporates much quicker. I don't know the process that, whether it's oxidation or evaporation or whatever. Because oil paint dries through oxidation, not evaporation of the oil paint. It oxidizes and it becomes one with the pigment. That's how oil paint works. But mineral spirits, you know, I know that it loosens up the oil paint, makes it more watery, but I don't actually know if it evaporates into the air or if it does something else. But right now is a good time to clean off this brush. Look at that. Let's clean off this brush. Look how quickly we cover that canvas. Yesterday we were having some troubles, but tomorrow we have a nice bright yellow canvas from which to work on, which, you know, I have a couple scenes I could work on top of this. I was thinking either a landscape. We're either going to do a landscape, or I was going to go for a landscape garden type scene with tons of green, which this would be perfect for, or a landscape desert, which was going to be more like of a paler yellow, like almost a white, which this could also work for us. So we'll see. But why do you even do something like this? This is really just to cover the canvas with some color, so that you don't have the bright white shining through if you miss a spot. You know, when you're getting started, that could be a really big issue. If you're just starting to learn how to paint and stuff, one of the biggest challenges is making, you know, getting enough paint, feeling comfortable putting enough paint onto your canvas so that it's not constantly like just getting enough paint on your canvas. That's one of the biggest challenges early on, because you really just don't know how much paint to put on. And honestly, sometimes I still don't know how much paint I should put on, because I'm so used to painting with such thick paint that, you know, when I try to paint like really thin layers, it ends up just being too much. So I don't know. You gotta experiment, right? You gotta play with paint. You gotta mess with your materials. You gotta experiment. You gotta have fun. You gotta have no fear. No fear painting. That would be a good book title. No fear painting. How to paint everything your heart desires. All right, so now's the time to wrap up. Let's close our supplies. That's the thing. So this tube of yellow has had a hole in it for I don't know how long, months. And I'm actually surprised that it even lasted this long. So this has had a tube or a hole way at the top of it. So this is like more than a quarter or a fifth of the way down from the top. So, you know, 1/5 away from the top, maybe even 1/6 away from the top, it had this hole in it. And of course, like oil paint, it'll seal because it'll kind of like dry itself. But I still don't depend on that for a dependable seal. So I feel like the paint inside actually was drying a little bit faster. And therefore, but this was one of the first tubes of yellow I ever got. So it's been sitting around for a while. Had this probably for over 2 years. And it got a hole in the past year. Because I didn't really paint with yellow that much back when I first started. But there we go. 1 200 milliliter tube down. 5,000 more to go. We'll see how many tubes we get through in a lifetime. How many tubes can the average painter get through in a lifetime? I don't know. I might get through... One of my goals for YouTube streaming and is 10,000 hours of painting, live painting streams. 10,000 hours. So I don't know how long that'll take me, maybe 10 years. Alexa, what is 10,000 divided by 5?
10,000 divided by 5 is 2,000.
Alexa, what is 2,000 divided by 365?
2,000 divided by 365 is approximately 5.4795.
5.5 years. So if I stream 5 hours a day, every day painting, it would take me 5.5 years to complete that. But let's take away 1,000, so 10%. So 5,000, 5.5, so 5,100 days. let's just say 5,100 days. Or let's just say, Alexa, what is 8,500
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Alexa, what is 8,500 divided by 5?
8,500 divided by 5 is 1,700.
Alexa, what is 1,700 divided by 365?
1,700 divided by 365 is approximately 4.6575.
So 4.7 years. So if I paint 5 hours every day for 4.7 years, I will have streamed 10,000 hours painting. But that's if I do it every day, which, that's probably not going to happen. 5 hours a day, every day, pretty difficult. Let's say like 10 hours a week. That would be doable. Alexa, what is 8,500 divided by...
Sarah.org. Artificial intelligence.
Alexa, cancel. Let's see, 8,500, 850. So if I do 850 weeks. Alexa, what is 850 divided by 52?
850 divided by 52 is approximately 16.3462.
Ooh, that would take 16 years if I stream 10 hours a week. From now, it takes about 16 years to stream 10,000 hours. That sounds doable, right? 10 hours a week, 16 years, not bad. That's doable. 16 years, let's see, let's add 20 years to my current life. Yeah, not bad. I'd be at a good age. I could commit to that maybe. We'll see. But anyway, take care everyone. Hope you all have a fantastic creative rest of your continuing on with your week, and have a great day. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you're still here, we'll probably be back tomorrow or another day, or if not tomorrow or the day after that, or the week after that, maybe some other time. But see ya.